All right, stand by. Okay, recording in progress. Let's kick it off. All right, so we're moving in toward the end of the week, and to the end of the semester, I mean. And I told you last week our assignment would be the last one. And then I went ahead and just thought, well, what are we going to do today? And I was thinking about it over the weekend. And I said, well, what's the textbook got that's going to wrap us up? And I went to go look, and in chapter 12, they talk about a lot of things that are interesting to me. So I figured they might be interesting to y'all. All right. So that's where we'll go. We'll wrap up this with chapter 12. I'll put some notes up in the Brightspace that you can take a look at. You can go and read the chapter 12. It's interesting. It's helpful. But again, I'm going to always tell you the answers are in the doing, right? Get out there and do it, and you'll learn so much more than you'll ever read out of a textbook. And more importantly, y'all are blessed to have the idea of being in a classroom environment, because I just didn't have that. I just hit the ground running. So what I thought would be fun, and it'd be fun for me and educational for y'all, I'll go through some of these key points of chapter 12 and see what it brings out with me. And we'll talk a little bit, and I'll make sure that y'all are hitting on the stuff that I found to be important, and then we'll wrap it up. Looking forward, we're wrapping into week 9 now. We're going into then week 10 next week, and then week 11 is it. So I want to remind y'all, get your work handled. We're looking at about 2 weeks out. No more assignments, all right? But in the meantime, week 9, I'm going to go over these things: laws and ethics and copyrights and insurance, and kind of make sure that you understand a little bit about that. If you want to go out there and do your thing, you might be a filmmaker, you might be a commercial fellow, you might want to do infomercials, you just want to do branded content, whatever it is you're thinking about doing with a camera. This last chapter here I thought was a great way to wrap us up. So we'll talk about this. The assignment this week is literally just go and acknowledge with a signature submission that you read through what I've got here, and that'll be a wrap. Okay. Next week, week 10, we'll use to wrap up everything, and week 11, our last week together, we'll use to show off all the work we've done. Right. So I'll push play on some things, and we'll watch everybody's stuff and have fun wrapping up the semester. Okay. So that's where we're at. Okay. So today I want to talk about this thing. And when they talk about the idea of chapter 12, they put it together as a wrap up, literally, which I thought was perfect. What they called laws, ethics, copyrights, and insurance. And I thought that was weird until I really thought about it as a wrap up. And I thought, well, that's all encompassing. So I figured that's a pretty good one. Laws and ethics, copyrights. I'm gonna change the word copyright, because I find that to be antiquated. Now, legally speaking, copyright is its thing. I get that. But I'm going to take you to the next level, which is what we call IP, or internet protocol, intellectual property, right? I mean, hang on, let me slow down. IP literally does mean internet protocol. That's a trip. I never thought about that. IPTV is kind of where everything's at right now. Everything's IP based. Your live streaming is IP or internet protocol based. Your telephone systems are now IP. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Today's IP is intellectual property, all right? And in a greater sense, it is copyright. It is the idea of how do you monetize, and what's the idea of intellectual property, legally speaking. How do we own what we do? What do we own of what we do? How do we secure those rights? All of that, and then how do we protect those rights? Copyright is a subset of the greater idea and conversation, which is intellectual property. All right. So IP is what I'm going to put up here. And then insurance. Okay. That's where we're at today, and that's where we're going to go. So I'm going to follow along with the notes that I took. I'll put those up. You'll see it as a PDF in the week 9 module box. So I'm just going to go through, and as I look at things, if it's important to me, or if I have something to say about it, that's where we'll go. Okay. That's my plan. And then we'll see how this goes. Okay. It's going to talk a little bit about the idea of the laws that are involved in what we do. but because I'm going to be up close, I'm going to angle this up a little higher. Okay. It wants to start with the idea of libel and slander, right? You got to be careful what you say about people, right? And to some degree, I've never really had that problem because I never went down the road of trying to do investigative reporting, trying to, prove to somebody, messed up with somebody, or, trying to I tell you what, I've never even done a bad review on Yelp, right? So I don't have a lot of experience on the idea of defamation, libel, and slander. I've never had nobody do that to me, and I've never been a part of something that did that to someone else. But here's the scoop. You can't do it, right? We're going to get into some fair use exceptions of the Copyright Act of 1976, but even within that, the fair use exceptions don't allow you to slander a company name, slander a person's brand or name, right? We saw that a lot in that recent Johnny Depp trial, right? A lot of that was defamation, libel, slander, ruining my brand. I couldn't get a job, that kind of stuff, right? Because of what you said or did or whatever, right? It's a nasty place to be. What I've always sided with is the idea, I'm not going to badmouth somebody, but I will put the facts out there. That's my news background. So with me, I've always trusted in the idea of, as long as I'm telling the truth, I'm not running into gossip. I'm not running into hearsay. I'm not running into a malicious attempt to talk bad or display bad upon someone's company or name or family. I'll never run into trouble, right? And so that's what I would counsel you on defamation, libel, and slander. Now, on the opposite side, someone goes out there and talks bad about you. Someone goes out there and ruins your brand, talks about your business, upsets your cash flow, and it's lying, and it's malicious, and you can prove that it's not true. Or more importantly, you can prove that they set out with intent to destroy you in some fashion. Now, that's your case to be able to proceed that way. And a lot of times you'll find, you can watch TV in the daytime. Anybody that's ever been at home and put on the television from, let's just watch the noon news, all right? Watch anything in the afternoon, watch a soap opera or something like that. And you're going to see lawyers come on and they'll tell you all the time, you've been hit by a big rig, you've been hit by a car, you got a motorcycle accident, whatever. They'll help you solve your case. They'll help you do your case. The libel slander lawyers will do the same at no charge, but they're going to want to know what's your story. They're going to want to know how can you prove this and help us do that. And if they feel like they can win, you can find a lawyer in this kind of an environment just the same as an auto accident case, with the idea you don't pay anything, won't cost you nothing. They'll take their money out of the money you win when you win at trial. Okay. But if someone talks bad about you, takes your cash flow, ruins your brand, yeah, you got a case, all right, libel and slander. On the other side, I would tell you as a producer of content, avoid that. It doesn't make any sense to go out there and badmouth people, companies or brands or people as a whole, and talking all the nastiness about them. I just never have understood that. So that's my take on defamation, libel, and slander. All right, but I'm moving to the next one, privacy versus the right to know. All right, so it's going to tell you a little bit here of what I wrote down from what's available in chapter 12. And the main thing that I want for you all to understand is that we're really talking about the right to privacy and the idea of you having a camera and what you can and cannot do, what you can and cannot record. It's really, the law exists to determine what you cannot record or point a camera at. But as a camera operator, I like to think of it more of what you should not point a camera at. That's what I'm talking about, right? And it goes down to something simple. I've always thought and been told, if you, particularly, remember now we go back with EFP, we talked about the legalities and municipalities. Every city is different, right? Sometimes jurisdictional operations within the municipalities, even within a larger city, are different, right? So if you go to what's a city within the city? West University Place, Pasadena, any of these little cities that are part of the greater Houston area, they each have their own idea, perhaps, of what the laws are as it pertains to public domain, where you can and can't shoot from. Do you need permits or whatnot? But at the base of it all is the idea, if you can see it in the greater Houston area, if you can see it from the street, you're in a public street, you're on a public sidewalk, you're not in anybody, private property, you can see it from the street, then you can film it, and you're gonna be okay. But you cannot stand in the public street or public thoroughfare and start zooming in with your zoom lens into people's windows of their office buildings or of their homes, right? You can't take a drone and fly it over someone's backyard and film them. Yep, can't leave.
How can a private, I guess that's different, a private investigator can do it?
The question is, how can a private investigator do it? And the answer is they can't. They got to play by the same laws we do. But 9 times out of 10, a PI is trying to get some kind of proof.
Right.
They're not trying to prove a case. They're just trying to prove a spousal issue, right? A domestic issue between a husband and wife, or they're trying to prove insurance. We haven't even gotten the insurance yet, but like workers' comp claims, right? You're on the workers' comp and you got some.
You have to mow your yard.
Yeah, you're out mowing the yard and stuff, and they go
You
film
left
that.
your kids.
There you go.
And nobody did that.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has a buddy that's done it or thought about doing it. Yeah, so the idea is they PIs play by the same rules that we do, but their end result is mostly driven by, I just need proof that something's happening so that I can show it to the participants involved that I know, and here's the proof.
Not going public with it.
Not going public with it, not trying to go into a court case with it, where you'd have to prove that you had to do this right with the right ways of doing it and whatnot. Once, a private investigator can show you proof 9 times out of 10. That's the end result of what they were asked to do. So they play by the same rules we do, and that is you can't look in someone's backyard. You can't see what only you can see from a public standpoint or viewpoint. Can't zoom into people's houses, and that's
Anything outside the buildings on the street.
yeah. Anything outside that you can see, if you can stand there and with your naked eye, you can see it, you can film it, and you won't have any trouble. The deal is, even from a street, now we're talking about every city's different. Houston, Texas, I can go downtown, film on a public sidewalk. I can shoot anybody I want, and I don't need any permits.
But like, say you're filming on the street and then you have a restaurant that's going as normal business and you pass through there and you put your film out and somebody that was inside there sees that and then gets upset because you filmed them inside the building. Is there a difference there?
All right. Question on the classroom is, I'm going downtown. I'm going to set up a camera on a public walkway, a sidewalk. I'm going to shoot an exterior of a restaurant, like after COVID, they took Main Street and blocked it off, man. So that's a good question. You have literally Main Street now that was because restaurants were hurting. They're like, what can we do to help the restaurants? And so the city of Houston took a block or two of Main Street right at downtown, and they closed it off except for the train that'll go through. And they allowed the restaurants to take over that outside area all the way up to the train tracks. And they thought we'll just do it for COVID, but now they've just ruled, no, we're going to leave that alone. We like that way. It makes downtown look good. So now restaurants are all the way out. They have balconies, they have little patios, and they go all the way out to the train track. So you're sitting on a sidewalk, you're taking your camera, you want to film something, and now you got somebody in the restaurant's patio that's complaining to you, you can't film me, why are you filming? What do you think the answer is on that?
Well, yeah, I'm talking not even on patio. I'm talking about like, if you're filming, like, say you're filming somebody just mug somebody, and you're chasing them down like this, and you pass by a window, somebody sitting inside eating, and it comes out, and they see it, and they get upset.
Yeah.
They were inside the building, but you were outside filming someone running by, and they haven't been seen.
Outside the building, filming someone running by on a sidewalk that you're entitled to do, except as you pan left to right, you ended up with some video of somebody sitting inside of a restaurant and they're complaining now. What do you think the answer is?
You're still in the right.
You're in the right.
You're in the right because you can see. But don't you think that because they're behind the glass located inside of the restaurant itself on private property, they might have a claim against you?
Yes, it could get ugly.
It could. It'll get ugly that way. That's correct. And I want to tell you the same thing could get ugly if they're on that patio. It comes down to, is it public or is it not? Is it private property or public property? And the moment that the city took those areas outside of those restaurants and turned them into the restaurant patio, now they made public domain property. They've turned it into private property for those restaurants. So that's where it gets a little sticky. I would think that anybody who's on private property and sees themselves in your production and has a claim against you unless you got a signed release, a blanket release.
So carries tax and releases, pre-copy releases.
Yeah.
Just, hey, da, 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 da.
Yeah,
If you don't want to be in the scene, get the hell out of the restaurant.
that's it. Yes, before we go to Catherine, Ken Lee saying just carry a stack of papers or releases with you, and I want to comment on that. I think what I would do today, because that's what I did. Yes, I always had a blanket release on my bag. I have like 1,000 sheets of stuff in a folder, and it's just, if I needed one, I'd get one. Always better to use it and not need it than to end up where you needed it and you didn't use it. So
Better to have it not needed. than
boom,
not have it.
boom. But here's the scoop. Today, you could take that one form. I could use my Adobe app that I put on my phone, right? Because we all are at Institute, we got free access to everything Adobe. I would take, it's called Adobe Scan, put that on your phone through the Creative Cloud that we all have access to. I would scan that one release form, make you a release form. You can find them online, scan it, have it on your phone. And then I would just use my phone and ask them to sign that for me real quick. I wouldn't have to carry anything. You can turn it into a PDF, and then on that PDF, you could just literally have them sign it and then send it to yourself. Never have to carry around a form, just a phone that you already have, but cover your butt that way. That's what I would do. Here's another thing. We're going to talk more. We'll come back to this on the idea of waivers and forms, public property versus private property, and how that might work. We'll use this exact scenario Kent Lee's talking about when we get into fair use. Okay, so stand by on that. Catherine.
If somebody doesn't happy, you are shooting them, and then you release form, they don't want to sign, so how? What
They
do you?
tell them to get out of the restaurant.
Yeah, so
And
they
you
Yeah.
can't review.
tell you, yeah, I'm not happy you shoot me because I don't want to be on the your film because I was reading, I don't want to. Maybe somebody is crime and they don't want the people to find this person.
Right.
A lot of reasons why.
There's a lot of reasons.
Only another TV, and not everybody wants, and so that's, you need to just to take out this video, right?
Yeah.
You cannot just say.
Okay, Catherine is suggesting she wants to understand better the idea of someone being inside a restaurant, which we've determined is private property, but I'm shooting on a sidewalk outside the restaurant. I happen to follow somebody walking by left to right in public view. Everything's fine on that. But the background of my shot is now showing people sitting inside the restaurant, and they're unhappy that I'm showing that. All right. So what do we do? And then Catherine says, well, I go get a release form and I take it to them, but now they don't want to sign the release form. And I'll give you a classic example of something that happened to me with that exact scenario. Doing something just like that, making a pretty shot for a tourism video that I was doing, hit a pan of something, and in the background on private property, probably a restaurant, I can't remember. There was something going on back there. And the fella came out. I was packing up my stuff. I'd gotten my shots. I was all happy, fixing to move on to whatever was next. And then a fella came out and asked me what I was doing, what was I filming? And I could tell he was hostile. And so I just, wanted to be honest. I didn't want to escalate it. I didn't, I didn't elevate my voice or anything. But I was curious also as to why is this guy angry, right? I mean, I couldn't understand. Come to find out, he's a married guy with a girlfriend, and him and his girlfriend are in the background.
He cut that shit out.
Oh, yeah. And he was not happy. I was pointing the camera at him because like Kent Lee was talking about,
Private investigator.
he thought I was a PI, first of all. Then I laugh and tell him, no, I'm not a private investigator. I'm putting this up, this is going to be for America Online, and it was going to be all these tourism videos I'm doing. And he said, well, that's probably worse because now
The whole world.
the whole world's going to see me and my lady sitting over there. I don't want that. I don't agree to that. And you don't have my permission to use it.
That's why I feel like it's a gray area when it comes
It
to.
is, that's right. It was a gray area. I think still to this day, it's a gray area. I think I could argue on my side, it was visible from the public domain that I was in. He could argue on his side, he's inside of a private restaurant and private property. I can't use that.
Well, that's why I brought that up, because it is such a gray area. What's the answer though?
Like,
Yeah,
Whenever you go out and shooting, you're taking the shot of the main attraction, and then when you're zooming around, you do this a lot. So you don't get people's faces.
back and showing how he's using his camera, he might shoot. That's what I opted for. I opted to shoot it again. I don't want to make any trouble. I'm trying to make money with America Online, and I didn't want him to go to my client and cause a problem. It's just so easy for me just to shoot it again, have him remove himself from the shot, and I'm gonna shoot it again. He just went to the bathroom, or she went to the bathroom, or they both did. Anyway, they weren't in the shot. Took about 10 seconds.
Get a quickie in.
Yeah.
So, just a technicality, do the reshoot.
Yep.
Send the video to his wife, since it's technically not being made public.
Wow. Wow. Amanda says, Amanda's going deep on that.
Yeah, okay, if you're a female and you're thinking a female, yes, go ahead and send it.
You can send it.
Yeah. Just say-
Amanda said, well, how about this? You could go ahead and reshoot it and make your client happy, but then go ahead and drop that first video over to the fellow's wife and just let them know what you happen to see downtown today. Yeah, how about that? I could, I'm not doing that.
She would, she's there all day, and she'll wait for you to get home.
Yes,
And she'll wait,
yeah,
she'll be watching the video while he comes home.
Yeah.
In his living room, with his wife.
that's a classic example of why something like that may come up.
The girlfriend is Amanda as a friend. She's not the girlfriend.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. And I would want someone to tell me, I understand that. But I'm just a videographer trying to do a shoot for America Online at that particular moment. I'm not trying to be a property investigator or,
You're gonna pay for it one way or the other.
yeah, I'm not trying to do any of that. I just want to get my stuff done, and I'm not trying to upset this old boy who happened to be out there doing something he shouldn't have been doing.
But Amanda says she has to reshoot it, he's gonna pay for it, so she's gonna drop it.
Oh, okay. Now there's something. Amanda says, well, listen, what if I gotta reshoot it? Maybe I'll make the dude pay for my time.
That-
25 bucks, buy me a drink or something? Nah, hey, you know I like that. That's hustle, girl.
If
That's game.
That don't work, I'll drop this off with your lady.
Game respects game on that. Yeah, maybe get a drink out of the deal, maybe get a free dinner. That's not a bad idea.
What y'all have for lunch? Me and my husband will like to go out tonight, or me and my wife will like to go out tonight.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost you less.
Yeah, baby, give me a
Get
gift
buy
card.
meal for the night, go drink it for twice.
Hey, I love that. Give me a gift card and I'll take you out and shoot it again real quick. Yeah, what do you think, Catherine?
If it's not in front of the location like
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah,
It's
now we
really
got
public.
that. It's-
So actually there, so there, no problem, right? But if they just background, but I don't want it there, if it's shooting me, because maybe somebody have like a lawsuit or something, they don't want to be usually, maybe they're gonna catch up later.
Yeah, I've had that happen too.
So,
Catherine's saying, okay, so enough with the idea, we're in a place where we happen to shoot into the interior completely accidentally, but nonetheless in the shot itself, given the setup that we had. What if we're in a public park, large open public place, we're shooting our stuff, and inevitably somebody comes up to us and is complaining that they haven't signed a release. They don't want to be a part of this. Who are we? What are we filming right now? We know in this opportunity, in this environment, in this case scenario, which again has happened to me, that's none of my problem. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, and I'm not gonna go reshoot that again, because sometimes when you have a really nice, pretty thing, a lot of my shots when I'm doing tourism in particular, but it could be anything. Just think about it. If we were trying to do a guerrilla style feature film, we're making a little short film. And we're going to shoot guerrilla style. We're going to go out there. We've got my actors doing their thing. And we got a public place where we don't have to ask anybody's permission. We're just going to roll tape and knock it out. And we're doing that. And then somebody from the background comes up and is complaining that they were sitting on the bench back there and they didn't want to be a part of this. And we have to either do that again or pay them. A lot of people will come up and ask to be compensated for it. And then you have to explain to them the idea, well, in the city of Houston, this is all public domain and we don't neither need permits nor your permission. As long as the camera can be put right here and we can see with our eyes that you were there, that's on you, not on us. But I'm telling you, as I've done that too, but I'm not going to go reshoot that. I'm not going to argue with these people. What I'm going to try to do is make sure that I got it all. Like I'm always looking for people coming. What I mean on that is this is a great experience life lesson. When I'm going to shoot something like that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rehearse it in my head. We've talked about that. I'm going to do my shooting in my head before I even push record. If I've got a whole crew with me, I'm going to assume that at some point, someone's going to come up. I call him John Q. Public, right? John Q. Could be anything. John Q is going to come up and just be wondering, what are we doing? Hey, what are y'all doing? Hey, is this a movie? Who's in the movie? Or the John Q is going to come up and want to be a participant. Hey, man, y'all need any help? Can I carry a tripod? Hey, man, It's another thing you get all the time. John Q will approach a crew environment. It might be 3 people, could be 30 people. When they see that, they're attracted to it. So here they come, and John Q will come up to you and just tell you, hey man, you know, I went to film school in LA and came to Houston, and all of a sudden you're like in a 5 to 10 minute conversation with these people you don't know from a hill of beans, and they're telling you the whole life. You're wondering where they're going, and ultimately it always ends up like this. And then I see y'all over here and I'm thinking, this must be fate. I'll come over here and I'll help y'all. I love that camera. I can do that tripod. And now they want to be part of what you're doing. You have to be ready for that. I anticipate the worst from John Q when I'm ever going to go and shoot in any public environment. All right. Now, what does that mean? That means that I'm constantly with my head on a swivel in those environments. I'm looking around at all times. Even while we're rolling and filming, I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm constantly, even if it's just me, I don't even have a crew. I'm doing a pan left to right of whatever I'm shooting. I'm looking in the viewfinder and I'm constantly looking for someone that appears to be approaching me. John Q Public coming to me. I want to be ready for them. I don't want to be surprised by them. I want to be ready, and I want to know, are they angry or are they happy? That's all. Because you can see John Q coming from a mile away. When I'm filming things, and you know, if you know, and if you don't, you just go do it and you'll know what I'm talking about. When you're running a camera and you're looking around, whether you got people with you or it's just you, you're in the moment of looking at what you're shooting, and you will immediately notice someone approaching you. Because everything else is normal. I see everything. I see most of my life through the idea of a viewfinder, just been doing it so long. But when I have a wide shot, an establishing shot of some kind, and I'm panning it or I'm shooting it or whatever it is I'm doing, I see the entirety of the shot. And then I see everything moving like it should be, just normal life. And then I'm always focused on the idea, is someone approaching me? It just looks out of place. That's all. And the camera, as they're coming toward me, I immediately pick up on that, because I want to be aware, and then I want to determine, are they in a bad mood or are they in a good mood? If they're in a good mood, I figure I know what I'm in for. Hey, how you doing? Got my film story. I got this idea for a commercial. Hey man, you got a card? I try not to rule them out, because a lot of these people, I'll tell you right now, I'll say at least 3 out of 10 of those people come up and they don't want any of that. What they want is, they got a business, they got an idea, they want you to shoot a commercial for them. They want you to film. They want to pay you to do what you're doing, and they just want a business card. So I'm not always adverse with these people. I let them approach, but I always want to be aware that they're coming toward me for whatever reason. Now I'm aware of them. I determine if they're in a good mood or a bad mood. I listen to them, and then I get back to work as best as I can, as quickly as I can. But if it's an angry person, and we know we have the park all up to us, we can do whatever we want, and they just don't want to be in the shot, I just don't have time to deal with that. So I will, as I see them coming and I determine that they're in a bad mood, everything I do is get my shot. That's it. I want to get my shot as quickly as I can, so that hopefully by the time they get to me and they're up on me and now they're telling me what I got to do, even though they don't know that I don't have to do that, then I can just tell them, oh, okay, I tell you what, man, don't worry. I already got it all. Everything's good. I'm wrapping up right now. I'm just about to get on to the next shot. I don't engage with them. I get the hell out of there. But I keep my shot, and I use my shot because they don't have any defense against it. I'm not worried about that whatsoever, legally speaking. That makes sense? For a public place, when I know my no, and there's no gray area, then I just tell the people, oh man, y'all are wrong, you know, but
Make them happy, make them think, okay, whatever, good.
yeah,
I ain't gonna use that in my job, cut it out, blah, blah, I'm going back to business, but you do what you want to do.
that's it.
That's-
Yeah, because you're not going to calm them down at that point. And even if you were to tell them, okay, I tell you what, I'll shoot that all over again. You just come over here so that, you know, you're not in my shot. I mean, if you want to, but they're still not going to be happy. That's the thing I've
Yeah,
learned.
those people that just woke up, didn't
Yeah.
get paid.
Yeah, Kent Lee's right. You got some people, man, they just wake up and they're in a bad mood the whole day. And you're not going to make them happy. So I don't even try. I just stick to my guns on that one. I know that I'm right with what I'm doing, and I'm not about to be told any differently. I need to get my stuff, plus I'm on a schedule here and I need to get this knocked out. So I just tell them what they want to hear, diffuse the situation, wrap up my stuff and get on to whatever's next, right? Because that way I'm done with them and I can keep moving forward. That's a key there with people. Okay, privacy and the right to know. Can't shoot in somebody's business, can't shoot in someone's house with a zoom lens, but you can shoot anything that you can see from the sidewalk. Can't climb over a fence and shoot behind a fence.
I guess this is where I was doing, you said with a zoom lens. In other words, if you were intentionally shooting inside the building to film something inside the building from the street, then that's wrong. But in a passing, in a scene, while you're filming on the street is, they're two different things.
Ken Lee's
That's why
just
I
checking
think
on
you
that.
all go.
Yeah, if you're using your zoom lens to zoom inside of a building to see what's in there versus you're just on the street and you're just seeing what happens, I would tell you this, the real test is, can you see it with your own eyes? See how zoom lens will take you in? And this has happened. Now, this is the truth. I've had this happen to me on a news scene, like a lot of news scenes. When you're working overnight news, like we started, you get all kinds of crazy things, man. Anything could happen. And so one time, if you ever watched that movie Nightcrawler, it was a lot like that. Except they
That's
went
like
to,
perfect job of like what you did, right?
yeah, correct. I mean, that's exactly what we did. However, when he went into the crime scene, no, never did that. But if you understand that he went into the crime scene, then you understand what I'm about to tell you. As far as the police are concerned, if you stand out on the street with your tripod and you use your zoom lens to zoom into the crime scene, it's as if you walked in there yourself. Understand that.
Oh,
That's the law itself.
so you cannot use Zoom. Okay, yeah, so if you could see, like I was saying, you're looking through, you see a couple tables as you pass by the window. But if you stop and stare deeper in, you see.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like it.
That's
Like,
it.
that's what I was saying, though, if you're on the street filming a guy running by, passing a window, that's one thing. Versus this is two totally different things. It's zooming in and
Yeah.
getting inside the.
Yeah, can't do it.
Getting action, and it's basically pulling all the action outside, inside out.
Yeah,
I mean,
what
yeah,
they want is, and it got really dicey because when we started shooting, and this is still true to this day, although they don't, I won't say they don't like me telling the story, but it's the truth, and it's still to this day, they'll do it. There's a difference in Spanish broadcasting for news and English broadcasting, right? And the difference on one of the levels is what they'll show, what is broadcastable, if you will,
Yeah.
right? That's a protocol, but it's not a legal thing, right? Do you show a dead body on the TV news?
No.
English news is going to say no. Spanish news is going to be like, how much of the body do we see?
Yeah, and English news, English is basically, it's more or less, like, I was on, the other day, I was going in the freeway to the house, and there was this kid, back of his head was slipping on the sidewalk, I guess on the I-10, and as I was passing by, I thought, well, if I film that, but then they don't want to show that because the next of kin hadn't been notified, don't want people to see them on the news like that.
Yeah.
That's why we're different in Spanish interviews.
Yeah, that's what also really ticks me off is like when you see a dead body there, you will see also like they have to leave it there because it's evidence and they need that to get shot. I'm like, but it's a dead body. You can't just move it aside.
Horrible stuff, man. But you know what? The more I did it, the more I understood how protocol works with the police, how protocol works with camera and news people, and then the legal side of it, like we're talking about today. But yeah, you're right. So what will happen is if you go to a homicide or where there's death involved, an accident, a fatality accident, you're going to know two things are about to happen. One is they're going to push you a little further back as a camera person from the scene. And then also, if it's a fatality of an auto accident, they're fixing to shut down the road. If it's a freeway, they're going to shut down the freeway. If it's a street, they're going to shut down everything because an investigation kicks in with the death involved. And what they, when the police arrive, like I told you, we were really good at going first, right? So we were first on scene. That was our claim to fame. And we oftentimes were there before the police, before the first responders. So, it was real natural to see how that would work. And so when you show up, you're going to have the fatality right there. That person is dead. That person is laying right there, or however they are. The dead people are right there. And then you've got people that were involved in the situation and they're crying and they're in shock and it's all happening right in front of you. So the police arrive. The first thing the police are going to do is want to make sure, anybody that was involved is okay. They're going to assess who's injured, who's doing what. They want to make sure that the fatality, the person's dead. They're going to check on that. And then they're going to call for backup. They're going to want this to be shut down now because an investigation is about to ensue. And then they're going to begin to push back any camera people. So when they see the media is there, they'll push the media back, and media could just be you with your phone if you're just standing there. They're going to push you back. They're going to create some sort of a scene and give you a border, a perimeter. and you have to stand behind this perimeter. Okay, but we can still film, mind you. You can't be told not to film, and that's important. You can film anything you want. So you're in a perimeter now, you're behind the line, so to speak, and everything's being taken care of. Then as soon as they have the information that they need, they will at least, when they understand the media is there or they see you with a camera, they will at least take out a body cover and lay it over the body. At some point, someone's going to cover up that body, understanding it's going to be there for a while before the investigators get there. If it's a homicide,
Can't be moved.
can't be moved. They can't touch anything. It's going to take a while for the coroner to get there. So the coroner has to be called. You got a lot of stuff that's about to start happening. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 protocol, and the body getting removed is going to be a while. So they cover it up at least so people driving by don't have to look at it. My daughter was one place up in A&M one time. She was out late at night, and she told me, and I was able to tell her just from my experience, exactly how did it go. But she said she saw a guy on a motorcycle acting crazy. I guess he'd had too much to drink, and they were all out in the front yard, and you could hear the motorcycle revving up, and he came screaming by. And as soon as he went right by, he slammed into a car. Man, he kept going. He just kept flying. And then he hit the ground, and obviously he was dead, and she had never seen that before. And so she was freaked out, and everybody's wanting to go over there and take a look. She didn't want to go take a look. That was me. I didn't want to go take a look. But everybody's there, and then the police come, and then they start making a perimeter, but they couldn't move the body. They had to tape it all off. They had to measure the distance of how to determine how fast was he going. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into the investigation when somebody dies, and it all is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's very much protocol driven.
What about the ones that if you're in the ground, there's victims?
What you mean victims?
Like the cops are coming, like the people that are, like say someone was shot but didn't die, they get an ambulance or.
Oh yeah,
and they're-
okay.
They're carrying out, they're getting people out of a house where there was like mass shooting or.
Ken Lee's asking, okay, so what's the protocol? We're on scene somewhere. I'm typing in my thing here, hang on. So we're on scene somewhere, things they're unfolding right in front of the camera. What's the privacy right to know kind of law in that regard? And it goes back to exactly what we were just determining. I'm on the public street. I can see it, I can shoot it. That's the way it goes. So if I want to do what we call load in. You catch them on the stretcher, the ambulance is there, you're watching them load them into the ambulance. Yeah, you can shoot that all day long. And the news media will take that. They like the load ins. Here's the scoop. They like it so much that after you get a load in, and on a homicide in particular, if you have somebody or a story that you think is unfolding is going to be insignificant, then you let that go. If it's going to be something they might talk about the next day, the following day or two, or if we're in the morning, this is an overnight news thing, and you think it might be all day long or the next day because it's interesting, people involved, whatever. You think there's a story here. Then what you do is you'll leave the scene alone because the homicide people, they're going to take a couple of hours before they come out and talk to you. So you shoot what you can. We call it. You'll spray everything you can. Then they'll load. You'll shoot the load in, and as soon as they take off, you put your gear up and you go and you beat them to the hospital. Gunshot wounds, your GSWs that are involved in homicides, they only go to 2 places, and you can listen to your scanner and you'll know when they load that person in, they're gonna call out on the scanner and tell you what hospital they're going to. It's either gonna be Bentop or it was Memorial Hermann. If they tell you which one, you just go there, and then there's places in every hospital. There's a place where you go and you set up your tripod and you film, and the ambulance will literally back up to the load. It's right around the emergency room. Next time you go to a hospital, if you ever happen to be at a hospital on your board, go look at the emergency room and check out the landing area for ambulances where they back them in. And that's where you would set up. And a lot of times, if you look around that area, you'll see photographer wells. You'll see places that are painted on the wall. If you're here with media, you go over there, and that's where they want you to be. And you can set up your camera, you can film the ambulance backing up, and then they unload the patient, they wheel them in. And you can film all the way from the ambulance to the doors. Once they go in the doors, you can't go inside the building. You can't penetrate the private property of the hospital, but you can film them right there from the ambulance all the way to the hospital door. And a lot of times you'll see those shots. They use those a lot. I even did, they don't do this anymore, but back in the day, and I thought when I was doing this, I thought this was mind-boggling to me. Like all I thought of was I was going to die. I literally thought, why are we doing this? I don't understand why this is a shot required by the media. But in the early days, when Herman had the lifeline, You got there and you knew it was coming because they talk on the scanner too. You can hear life flight traffic, you can hear all this stuff. In the helicopter, yes, ma'am. Somebody, yeah. Let me see. Gotcha. There we go.
She's gonna mute it. He can mute it.
Okay, so thank you, Cal. I was wondering about that too. So the media got us, they said, go to Herman and get life flight credentials. And I was like, okay, you know, what's that? And my brother told me, no, man, they want you to go shoot the helicopter when it's landing. I was like, okay, I didn't think about that. You know, I just thought it was like an ambulance. What's the big deal? But you had to go and you had to get a credential. And then that got you into the hospital. And then they showed me how to get to a special elevator. You get on that elevator with your credential. It takes you straight to the roof like a zip, real quick, straight to the roof. And you come out on the roof and you're literally on the landing pad for the helicopter. And I thought, and nobody told me what to do. Remember, I just started, man. So my brother's like, yeah, answers are in the doing, dude. I'm not lying. So I got my camera. It's like nighttime and I could hear it. I look over there. No kidding. I could see the light of the helicopter coming. He's coming right at me. I was like, oh my gosh. So I just kind of knelt down. I kind of figured out what was. Now there is no barricade or anything up there on that helipad landing thing. There's no fence line or anything. So I'm worried about getting blown over. I'm worried about how strong this. What is this going to do? So I hunkered down. I got my camera. I put it on the ground, figuring I didn't want it to be shaky shot. I angled it up off the ground. I'm on the ground on my knees and I got it angled up. And that helicopter came and landed right there. And they took that patient off and wheeled him straight through the doors. And that was a pretty shot. And it was adrenaline. That was so much adrenaline. But to myself, I thought I could have died. Why? Why am I up here? All the thing I kept thinking about was something's going to go wrong. Like that.
You're gonna have to be standing too tall and chopper's gonna.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the blades. I'm thinking about, you know, he gets in a windy
How
situation.
close to the blades? I mean, how close are you from the helicopter?
I'm in this classroom, like y'all can see. The whole helipad ain't but this size.
So how close to the helicopter?
I'm probably from me to Alex.
Okay,
And they're going to that door right there.
and the blades are about right
They're up
here.
high.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're out here.
Yeah, it's a tiny space,
So,
man.
so you got these blades.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I got no experience. I don't have any kind of military experience. I don't have any kind of, you know, up against the helicopter experience. Man, I was tripping out. And every time I would do that, I got a little more comfortable, but there was always this variable of high wind or something, right?
WTF are you doing there?
That's what I'm talking about. For this shot, I mean, it was pretty, but I didn't understand it, man. And now they don't allow camera people up on the helipad no more.
Now you know.
And I'm like, dude, I shouldn't have let me up there. So now you can't get that shot anymore. But back in the day, that was something, man. That was almost too much. But okay, now here's the thing for you that I always wondered though. I didn't understand because I'm a privacy right to know guy. I'm a legal kind of guy in productions and things like that. Here's something for you that I always wondered, and I don't know the answer. But how come it was okay for me to be up there and filming, let's just say you, and you've been in a car wreck, and so now you've been life flighted to the hospital, and I'm able to film you as you're getting chest compressions or whatever from the helicopter to the hospital? I've never understand that. Where's my right if I'm a patient? Because that's not the street. That's what I always wondered. That's not like me, like I can film you in the street. It's a gray area, baby, and I always wondered that. Why am I allowed to be up here, or even the hospital loading zone, right? If you go to Bentop right now over there by Memorial Park, right across the street from the zoo, Bentop Hospital, where the ambulances are loading in, you'll still see it. And you'll see the shot all the time. Why are cameras allowed to be there when that's private property, I would think? Maybe because it's paid for with public funds, but anyway, private property. And I don't want I'm just gonna say me, if I'm the victim, I'm on that stretcher, I don't want nobody filming me, man, as I go into the hospital.
The hospital is legal team has gotten together with just a release for media to be on their
Well,
property.
technically, like, you got a couple of other things to consider, because I know, I've heard that news reporters and casters won't give away the identity of a person without notifying next of kin first.
True.
That's just a.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about a while
decency
ago.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what we're
that's
talking about
true.
expanding.
But you also got like. Okay, I don't know how far in depth it goes, but HIPAA protocols.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, you
talking about
had-
HIPAA now,
Yeah.
you know, in a hospital situation, yes.
How far in depth does that go in comparison to?
Is the ambulance ride considered hospital property?
See?
Ignoring your HIPAA?
I mean, it's one thing when they take you out of the ambulance right there, Ben Taub, and they just wheel you straight into the emergency room. Okay, I don't know, speaking of HIPAA, right? I don't really know what's going on. I'm not privy. But if I see him get out of the ambulance and there's a dude on top of the stretcher and he's on his knees and he's pumping the dude's chest and I film that as they go in, that kind of tells me kind of what's up.
Somebody's in trouble.
Somebody's in trouble. And I've shot all that, back and forth. I've seen all that. And I always wondered,
How much of that is?
yeah,
legal?
what in the world is up with that? If that was me or my dad or my mom or my grandpa or somebody I knew, I wouldn't want somebody filming it. That's all. I used to think that all the time. But it was mandated by the news media. You had to shoot it. But as the photographer, the personalization of the event happening,
See the identity of a person.
that's what they say.
Yeah.
You don't know the people until they put a name up.
It's literally like a flash of a body on the stretcher.
Mhm.
They
Right.
don't have the identity.
No
they don't
vision,
have
no
a name.
facial.
That's right. That's what the news media will tell you.
Don't
And see, that's where we're at right now. The thing that I'm reading from literally says privacy versus the right to know.
There you go.
And so the media is going to say we have a right to know.
We have a right to know that somebody could be dying from this particular.
But we
Boom.
don't have the right to know who that person is.
Boom. That's how they do it. But put yourself in a position of someone who's having to shoot that stuff and it feels awkward, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to make the shot without the face or either.
Yeah.
Flash, done.
Yeah, girl, that's all I ended up doing.
There is no way bother me.
What is it?
They were saying that HIPAA is the law that relates to the idea of you as a hospital, as a medical patient, and you have a right to privacy about your medical status, your issues or your illnesses and whatnot. The hospital can't divulge that. They have to keep that private for you. That's a federal law. And so as we were talking about being able to legally film on the helipad with the helicopter or at the ambulance loading area, and we see what we see as they bring the patient out of the ambulance and into the hospital doors, it seems like at some point, we don't know who the person is, but we are able to determine the severity of their injuries or illnesses, certainly as they are taken from the ambulance. And so where does that fit? And that's where we're at now, the right to know. So the news media is determining that we have a right to know as a public to know what's going on, but we do not have a right to know who the person is until their own family has been advised of the trouble that is unfolding.
Even then, it's still up to the Mexican to say.
Yeah, that's what
yeah,
I would
we're
think.
gonna tell them.
That's what I would think, man. I mean, if you think right now, look at Jamie Foxx. We still don't know what happened to that man. All right, so he got in trouble. He went down. Everybody says, but no, I don't care what you hear. You don't know because they locked it down. The family did, and I'm certain that's him. If he could talk, he'd lock that down.
Yeah, because TMZ can't even get him.
They can't even. Nobody knows what's going on, and he's in rehab now.
It's not even.
Yeah, TMZ can get
It's-
Well,
Yeah, that's kind of that's a gray area, isn't it?
TMZ,
Yeah.
TMZ can get all this dirty bullshit.
Yeah,
They can't even get in there and get that
They
information.
don't need a fact check to print their stuff.
that's true.
Yeah, but they're not even saying anything. 'Cause every once in a while, catch TMZ and then whatever that show.
That doesn't count as it.
Yeah.
I know, but it's entertainment.
Yeah,
Is what I go by on it. It's entertainment, but they're at the point, they don't know what's going on with him and they can't even know.
Uh-uh.
And there's as many people as they have on the streets, they can't figure it
they
out.
can't figure it out. They've locked that down. So with HIPAA and the hospital involved, they know you better not leak that. Nobody better leak that. But I'll tell you an interesting thing, because we hadn't gotten through this yet. I'll try to speed this up, but I just like telling stories. And it's my way of teaching, right? But in the meantime, when we get back to TMZ, I'll tell you how they do what they do because they cloak themselves as entertainment news.
Yeah,
So by dropping news on the end of it, they're able to forego any type of real IP or copyright concerns because of the fair use doctrine that allows for news reporting, right? And so you can get out there and say what you want to say within the context of I'm doing news, and you ain't got to worry about it. Now, you still got to worry about libel and slander. You still got to worry about, you better not tell what's going on with Jamie Foxx, because we'll get you for that. But as far as being able to report the news in the entertainment business, yeah, that's how they do what they do under the fair use doctrine. Okay, let's move. Catherine, you okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the next one. It says ENG News Productions. Oh, okay, this is gonna be the idea. oh, wow. Okay, all we did is really segue into exactly what we were just discussing. When a case is brought against a news organization, the defense, if there is one, usually falls into one or more of four categories: the public's right to know, the truth, consent, and then public property. Yeah, baby, that's everything we were just talking about. And trespassing, right? Hidden cameras, police orders. Oh, let's talk about that. All right, I'm gonna skip some stuff here because we lingered a little while on that. I'm gonna go past that. It says we're talking about ENG news productions, the public's right to know, truth and consent and public property, and context and public figures. All right, let's go on to public figures real quick because I got stories on that. Legally speaking, and all this is coming from the legal side of things, a celebrity or public figure has no more rights than you and I. You have to understand that. But when things are unfolding in a news situation, two things are going to go down. One is the person involved is going to think that they should be afforded more rights, that they are due to be treated differently, and they're not, but that's what they're going to expect. And then the next thing is, it's more marketable to have a story about a celebrity, a public figure, somebody like that. And you know that story is going to run. So I'm telling you from the idea of the news media, we talked about TMZ, right? So if they go out there and they're chasing down a story and let's just say Robert Downey Jr. has a car crash, you know somebody's going to go film that.
Speaking of that, he went vegan. Have you seen how bad he looks?
We're not talking.
Okay, all right. They're telling me something about him. Anyway, I'm just telling you. And this is an experience that I had a lot. And when it first started happening, I was like, no way. I didn't understand it. I thought that's crazy. You know, I just want to believe that everybody's equal, that kind of thing. But here's what happens: is everybody's equal until they're not, and everybody's nobody until they're somebody. And what happens is when you're chasing news, this is all within the idea of EFP, or electronic field production, AKA electronic news gathering. When you hear a story, when you were listening to scanners and you're listening to first responders, they don't tell you who it is. They're not going to say, hey man, got a car crash. Oh, and it's Robert Downey Jr. They're not going to say that. They're just going to say crash. They're going to say auto pad, train pad. They're going to tell you what the accident is, and they're sending an ambulance, they're sending the police or whatever. What happens is you listen to traffic. Now you start to hear the police. When you find out there's something going on, you change your station. Like I just had scanners for different things. And so when I wanted to isolate something, I'd hear a car crash or something, I'd isolate to the police on my other scanner, and I'd hear the police talking back and forth. And it's the first responders who will tell you what's involved. When they get a little excited or they want to shut down something, they don't want this to go any further, they'll tell you on the radio because they think nobody's listening. They know only media is, and that's if we happen to be lucky and catch it, the idea of who's involved, what's going on, and then this is the real kicker. If you're chasing news or you're trying to shoot stuff like that, like TMZ, the best money you can spend is record drivers and cops. You pay them, you give them money, you give them a salary, you give them a free dinner or lunch or whatever. And as soon as they come up on something, they'll call you and tell you, hey man, you're going to want to shoot this. This is something special. This is somebody. This is a
This is
car.
important, period.
Yeah, you get some information flow by setting up a network of these first responders. It's done all the time. It's understandable and it's not illegal.
And you get 10 grand for that shot, and you
Boom.
send the ambulance driver 500, he calls you next time.
That's what happens. You'll get more money for something because you rolled up first on Robert Downey Jr.'s accident. And that's the nastiness of some of the news that goes on. That's the real trouble.
Dirty laundry.
Yeah, the dirty laundry, right? That's it. People want to hear it. People want to know what's up. If you're shooting it, you want to be first on scene. You want to be able to get a scoop on something and then be able to charge out the yin yang for it because you're the only one that got that shot. I mean, that's what is driving that backbone. So when we get into public figures, like it's listed right here, I want you to know, because there's two things going to go on. You, as a photographer or videographer, you can monetize it on a much larger level with a public figure involved, or you are going to be told by the first responders involved, we're locking this down, and they're going to try to tell you to do stuff you know they don't have the authority to tell you to do. They're gonna push you back too far. They're gonna tell you you can't film here. They're gonna tell you all kinds of stuff because they're trying to protect it, right? How many times have you seen something where body cam shows that they pulled over a mayor of a city who happened to be drunk, and the mayor's like, "Do you know who I am?" Right?
Yeah,
Been there, done that, seen that, right? So you got to watch out for that. But it doesn't matter who they are. They're just John Q. Public to us. They have the same rights or no rights as we do. So you can film them. You don't have to give them any preferential treatment. And if you'll take care of the people that you work with, they'll let you know when stuff is happening to somebody on the public figure side. Now, having said that, I'm equally friends with people who are public figures, and they understand that nastiness occurs, and it puts an extra burden on them. And then all of a sudden they find themselves in a situation, they don't want to be treated any differently. Don't do for me because of who I am, what you wouldn't do for nobody else. And in that regard, then they'll come to you and they'll say, "Hey man, I'd appreciate it if you just not film me." Right. And then you got to figure that out. You have to be the person that
You
determines.
wanna know what kind of repercussions it can cause you if you do it, or what it.
Yeah.
What's your gains in your.
Yes.
What do
Yeah.
if you did it, what do you get out of it? If you do it, what do you lose out of it? And what do you?
Yeah.
Vice versa.
Yeah, you got to play that game. And I'm talking about live on the scene stuff happening. And you're being asked to not do something because you probably wouldn't do it if it was anybody else. But because of who this person is, you're thinking about, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And now that person comes over to you and says, "Hey, man, I appreciate it if you wouldn't do that." A lot of times they're going to tell you, "I got kids, little kids. I don't want them to see this." Or, I've heard it all. And you will too out there in that kind of a situation. And I'm just talking about news. It doesn't have to be news. It could be like Catherine's talking about, you're out in a public park, you're filming something, happen to capture something on camera, and the people come to you because they are somebody of some influence, and now they're asking you to turn away or to not show it or to erase it.
My family privacy and.
Yeah.
We're always with the.
Yeah. So sometimes,
The paparazzi leave us alone.
leave us alone, man. And you got to be the one that decides whether or not you want to do that. You may have the right to do it, but again, just because you could doesn't mean you should. So you have to keep that in mind. All right. Trespassing. Remember, you cannot go on the private property. So those rules, just because you got a camera in your hand, they don't benefit you any more or less than anybody else. But because you have a camera in your hand, you are being watched and monitored more so than most people. So don't draw attention to yourself by going over fences or trespassing in order to get a shot. Don't do that. That'll cause big trouble. Hidden cameras, again, never really did a lot of investigative reporting, never had to use hidden cameras or anything like that. But in today's world, it would be so simple. I mean, you got little wireless cameras, a pinhole camera the size of a dime or smaller. Right, you got cameras you could put on it looks like a pin. You put a pin in your pocket and it's a HD 4K camera. That stuff trips me out. I love those toys, but I'm not trying to use them to get myself in trouble with hidden cameras. Will get you in trouble. Police orders. All right, here we go. This is a big one. So when you roll up on a scene, and we've seen it now too many times with all these people filming things and how they film stuff, and then it becomes a case, and then it becomes protest, and people take to the streets and whatnot, all because somebody filmed something involving a first responder. When first responders are first responding, they don't know what they're walking into. So in a position where I was, I would like to be there first. We were doing the overnight news. My brother and I, we'd try to get there first. We would literally be there before the first responders. And that's easier to do than you would think. So we're there, we're rolling, we're watching what's happening. And then here come the police, here come the ambulance, fire trucks or whatever. When they arrive, the first thing they want to do is they want to take an assessment of what's going on. They want to make sure, are they going to be safe? Do I need to be worried about my own safety? And then what's going on? Who are the players? What's going on? Who are the people I need to pay attention to? And then somebody tell me the story about what's going on. All that's happening right when they show up. So they show up and then they're starting to go into that mode. And then they look around and realize, oh, I'm being filmed the whole time. Nowadays, pretty much normal. Back then, no, not normal, man. So they would come to us all the time and start telling us, shut down the camera, move out the way, you can't be here. And they're always going to tell you that. And you have to know they can't tell you that. They're in go mode. They're in fix it mode. They're in first responder mode. And a lot of what they're telling you is they want for you to be safe. Don't misunderstand that. They're coming at you, trying to protect you in an unfolding situation. But at the same time, they don't want you filming what they're doing because they don't even know what they're about to do. Now we got body cameras. Now we got phones that shoot everything and everybody's filming it at once. But you cannot be told by police to do anything that you know is wrong or otherwise not legal. But they're going to think because I'm a police officer, I can tell you what to do, but they can't. You have to know your rights that way, and you can stand your ground and all the while keep recording. You hear what they say, you see what they're doing, and if it ever were to become necessary, you can demonstrate with that tape, with that video, you can show what happened, right? And we see this all the day now, but back then it was something different. But for you, know that you are in a developing situation, you are in a chaotic situation, and you're trying to document this situation as best you can. And in that regard, as a photographer, you're almost like your own first responder. You're a first responding photographer. They're a first responder police officer or ambulance or EMT or whatever. So you all are in the chaos. There are certain things they can tell you to do, and then most of the stuff they cannot tell you to do, but they will because they don't want you shooting stuff. They don't want you seeing stuff. They don't want to have to worry about.
They want you, hopefully don't know what they can tell you, can't.
Correct.
So if you don't know, then you'll not do it,
That's it.
and that they'll get their way. But if you know, you can still get away with it.
Intimidation. That's what they
Yeah,
default to. They default to intimidation. They're trying to intimidate you because it's chaos unfolding, and they don't want for you to know what they can and can't do. And you need to know, and I'm telling you, they can't tell you to do that, right? You must decide if their reasons are valid, self-serving, or an attempt to cover up wrongdoing. Your goal is to keep shooting without getting arrested. Yes, I would agree with that. All right, that's police orders. All right, here we go. Let's move on down. I'm going to take you out of this and let's just go straight to, we're going to talk about, it talks about intended audience and content. I'm going to skip over that. Let's go to copyrights. Let's get into this idea of intellectual property because I know that that's important. And I want for y'all to have a basic understanding. Remember, I'm just hitting bullet points of chapter 12. You get into chapter 12 on stuff that's important to you, and you'll get a lot more detailed information. Okay. And so what I want for y'all to know here, and let's see what it says. All right. It's going to go straight to fair use. And that's what's important here. All right. It's important to know the basis of copyright law statutes that recognize people's right to their own material that they create, and trademarks of graphics such as logos and cartoon characters are protected similarly to copyrighted works, right? Violations. If you want people to respect your right of ownership for what you produce, you must respect their rights. It is illegal to use part of others' creations without permission. All right. You got to understand that we sit here as creators in the Art Institute, and the idea of filmmaking, the idea of videography or creation of production of content or whatever it is we're doing with a camera, we're creative producers. So the copyright law back in the day was literally created to provide incentive to creators, to give us an incentive to be able to just go and create. If we went and created stuff, and we spend all our time making a movie, we spend all our time writing a poem, we spend all our time building a statue or sculpting or painting a painting, and then anybody could just come along and take it and run away with it and steal it, and now it's theirs, or take a picture of it and call it theirs, and we would have, everybody would just, it would be chaos. Everybody would just take our creations. We couldn't monetize it because we couldn't prove that we owned it, and therefore you got to pay me for it. And therefore, what happens if you steal it and go use it and call it your own? There was nothing set up. And so the copyright law was produced to provide incentive for creative people. Then it said, okay, now if we have incentive to create, it's because here this law, and it's a global idea, right? It's international copyright law around the world that allows us to monetize our creations. So it not only gives us an incentive to do it, but a lot of the incentive to do it is so we can get paid because of what we do. All right. So if you understand that, then you got to understand that people got to have respect for the copyrighted work. And that includes us as creators. We want to be able to go get anybody that steals our stuff, anybody who uses our stuff. We want to get paid. We want to be able to be able to go after them legally for infringement of our copyright, our ability to own the intellectual property involved in our creations, and to be able to get money back when people steal it from us and make sure that they pay for what we did, which is rightly ours. All right. But at the same time, you have this thing, they decided, well, there's got to be some things that we can allow you to do that are what we call fair use. So they have fair use clause of the Copyright Act that allows copyrighted material to be used without liability or issues of infringement, that they fall into certain categories. All right. And this right here is what I want you to know. Fair use for the purpose and character of the use. They're going to look at that. If you get sued or any kind of infringement issues, these are the things the judge is going to look at. Number one is the purpose and character of the use. Number two is the nature of the copyrighted work. Number three is the amount and substantiality of the portion used. How much of it did you use? And the effect. The last one is the effect of the use of the potential market for the value of the copyrighted work. What they're saying is, did you take it all or did you take just a little piece? What did you do with it? And what was the purpose of why you used it to begin with? Who is your audience? And then did you in any way hurt the copyright holder, the intellectual property owner? Did you hurt them in their ability to monetize their product? Did you lessen the value? Did you take something that was one of a kind and make it now where it's everywhere, and you devalued it to the point where, you know, the uniqueness and exclusivity of it was completely undermined? They're going to take a look at all that. And that's how a judge will determine an infringement case. However, there's also three, or I know of two, that are the educational use. Anything that you do educationally, like because we're in a class right now, we want to do an editing course, we want to do a filmmaking course, you can go film whatever you want. You can edit it and turn it in as an assignment, and you can never violate copyright law because we did not try to make money off it. We did not show it to a paying audience. We are just working as students in an educational environment for the use of education. All things copyrighted can be used without concern. And then also in news reporting. In news reporting, you have the ability to be able to use stuff, but you have to keep it short. That's where that clause comes in of how much did you use, right? So in news reporting, we want to take a song, it's a famous song. Maybe we might want to use 15 seconds of a song. Everything's cool. Take it in news reporting and use the whole song, not cool. They're going to sue you. But if you got 15 seconds of a song, you want to drop it in and you want to put it in your news report, completely cool. And that's why I tell you that TMZ and those people, entertainment news, when they start calling themselves a news organization, is so that they can use that clause of the fair use doctrine that allows them to be able to do what they want, say what they want without repercussion. Now, they can't go slander, they can't go and talk bad about somebody or ruin someone's brand. But in the idea that they're just a news reporter, they can show you their logos, they can show you their copyrighted material, they can play a bit of a song, they can do what they want because it's all cloaked in the idea of news. And there was one more, and I can't remember what it was. Educational, news, crud. There's a third one, and I just can't remember it right now. I'm certain it'll come to me. I just had it on what's that?
Parody.
Parody, yes, for making fun of stuff. That was it, girl. Yes. All right, so comedians, the idea of satire, parody, where it's P-A-R-O-D-Y, making fun of something, making jokes. All right, we have to be able to make fun of ourselves, and you can't sue somebody for making fun of something and putting it in a joke or whatnot. That's part of the fair use exception as well. So yes, those are the three things. All right, I love
I had
that
a
about.
question.
Yep.
So when it comes to copyright, how much, like, let me see, can you copyright something that's only 5 minutes long? Or is there a specific time length that needs to be recorded and claimed in order for it to be protected by copyright?
No, if you create it, you can copyright it. It is yours. By publication, it is yours.
Even if it's like 2 minutes?
No, Zach, no time limit required.
Okay.
Yeah, Amanda's saying she could copyright a 10-second video on Instagram, call it hers, because she made it. That's the idea. Did you author it? Is it yours uniquely? And do you own the rights and licenses to everything involved? Then if that answer is yes, then that's you. You own all that.
Okay.
And it's owned from the date of publication. In the old days, before internet, we used to have this thing where if you were really concerned about copyright, like if you wrote a script or you had a book or you had a video, like we were doing little small videos back then, the way you could really prove copyright if you were going to go after somebody for infringing upon your intellectual rights was two things. One is you'd have to file with the government, and that's fine. And they automated that. You can go to us.gov and you can look at filing for copyrights on things, and it's real simple. It's so automated. it's wonderfully simple. However, the way we used to do it back in the day is you would literally take an envelope and you would put whatever it is you want to call yours. You'd write your name on it. You'd have an actual copy of it. You'd put it in an envelope. You'd seal the envelope and you'd mail it to yourself, because the United States government would put a postage mark on it, and the postage mark would have a date. And then that way you don't open the envelope. You just let it sit there. And if ever any question came up of who had it first, you could say, look, I had it since this date, and here's my unopened envelope. And you could prove that in a litigation issue. But now with the internet, they moved to the idea date of publication is the date you can begin to say you owned and published that. So that it was published, that it was put up on the internet, that it was shown to someone becomes your date. And it's not even really required anymore for you to have to secure the rights through the government, unless you really want to go the extra step. If it's something you really want to own that's yours, then you'll go through the different application procedures with us.gov and be able to handle that and get copyrights in your name or in your company name. But it has nothing to do with length of the video. Quality of the video is irrelevant. It's just, do you own it or do you not? And if you wish to secure the rights to it, then you copyright it. And a lot of what you can do with Videos Act, just go to the end of whatever it is you're publishing, no matter the length, and drop in a copyright symbol, put the date, and then put all rights reserved, and then put your name. If you got a company name, put your company name. If it's just Zach Chisholm, put that down, put whatever you want, but it's copyright symbol, the year, all rights reserved, and then the name of whoever you want to be the copyright holder, and there you go. Put that at the end of what you're publishing, put it up on the web, put it to YouTube, whatever, and you are copyrighted as of that moment. And then you can always go after anybody who takes your stuff.
Copyright, the instant your pen hits paper and the minute you hit record
Yes,
is your copyright.
that's right.
Period.
That's right.
When the pen hits the paper,
Uh.
it's copyrighted, and when you hit record, it's copyrighted.
As you as
The moment
author.
You start recording, that's yours. You own that. The second you write it down, it's yours. You own that.
That's right.
And your idea becomes tangible.
And the second, it comes tangible. Once you put it on paper or on video or record,
It's yours.
it's done. Learn that in media business practice.
There you go.
I just say, if I take the photo, I have like all the, even I go register, I already have the copyright for my phone.
That's right. Already have it. Yeah, absolutely. And if you look on your phone, I know on Adobe, there's a thing you can do on Photoshop, you can put copyright and you can put your name down and put a date down. You know, okay, so in that class, did they tell y'all as to whether or not you should like put your copyright on stuff?
They did.
What
say-
benefit does that give you?
They said to have a way to prove that you created it.
There you go.
Somewhere in it, you have your logo or your name.
There you go.
If you have a painting, you paint your painting. If you don't want to sign it or whatever, you can work in that painting, your name in a cloud or
That's
a
cool.
shadow.
All right.
Or whatever, but as long as you put it on there, you got it.
You
Like,
can
Henderson-
create your Trademark.
Henderson said that he, one of his students did an advertisement for this tire place.
Okay.
And they made a big billboard, and then the guy didn't want to pay him, he says, no, you didn't do that, blah, blah, he said, look, in the tread, there's my name. And he's
Wow.
like, oh, you ain't supposed to do that, was my artwork,
Yeah,
so there, you owe me money.
there it is. Yes, that's what it's all about. We want to monetize our creativity. Yes, that's the idea of copyright.
The law, you already.
That's correct, Catherine.
Like, you don't wanna always argue with people, right? So. you put
That's
it
what I
back,
say.
Yeah, better to put your mark like.
That's what I say. Yeah, Catherine says from the moment you do this and publish it, you own it, and that is correct. But the idea of how to deal with someone who has a claim or you have a claim against their use of your material, always better to have something in there, your brand, your trademark, like I'm saying, put a copyright symbol down with the year and your name at the end of your video. And that's what you see. You'll see that even on feature films. You go watch the best movie you want at the movie theater. If you stay through the credits, you'll see they'll put a copyright mark and a year on it at the end of the credits.
So
Yes.
should, Amanda, so like I did usually for ask for the professor, for the, motion graphic, because we did for recreate. For footage from somebody else, right? So
Okay.
from probably, I say, can we, because it's a remade, and so can we put them all the name? He said, yes. Yeah, so we own the copyright.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I saw him do the video. He put his name as like a trademark. No, yeah,
Yeah,
the.
'cause you could take, if you make a commercial, it's already made, I'm guessing, make a
When
commercial already made.
you did the all like the project, you can put your name. So you can put the title. Yeah, it's by you. name.
that's the idea. That way you're letting everyone know you can't use this without my permission.
I think like.
That holds you up in all legalities if you want to make a statement.
Yeah, yeah.
If all of a sudden you see your artwork and just kind of do laying around or what, and all of a sudden now it's making millions of dollars for somebody.
Yes,
You're like, how?
all the
that's
time.
fine. Give me that base. Yeah.
all the time. And even photographers, like you talk about TMZ, right? So there's a lot of people who get really paid by going and shooting celebrities. And then for whatever reason, the celebrity doesn't know no better. And they take one of this guy's pictures and they put it in their Instagram or they put it on their socials or whatever. And these guys are suing them because you can't do that. That's my picture. And you need to compensate me for that. And now they have to pay the guy. Yep.
Yeah, I say like, we did a lot of project. It can be as our demo reel. If you don't put your name later, who knows you did that.
That's right.
So I think I was gonna put my name.
You have to.
Put your name in there,
No,
the
no, I- Video.
Yeah,
In the video.
in the
say
video.
That's right. That's right, Kathy. Yeah, yeah. Put that at the end or put it down in the bottom. Yeah, girl.
You can have it, you can have your logo, your name, whatever in the bottom corner and then take out the opacity where it's barely showing. And then just barely there, but you see it.
No.
Yeah, so, but you
Right.
signed it without damaging any of the.
Come on. Got to without showing anything. Just put it on there. I noticed they put on here on this thing that I wrote, courtesies. All right, let's talk a little bit about that. When you're keeping it short and sweet and you're trying to grab stuff, a lot of times on the internet, we're making a video, we need content from whatever. You'll see this on the news a lot also. Or you can see it on sports broadcasts. It doesn't matter. When you're looking at something, you're consuming some content and the author of that content, when it just went and grabbed stuff and used it and put it up, what we can get away with most of the time is we do a courtesy. And a courtesy is literally when we take someone's picture, we take someone's something and we put it into our video real quick. And if we're running the news, we put it in the news broadcast real quick. We'll put the word courtesy or we'll put video courtesy of, and then we'll put the name, right? So video courtesy of Martin Gaston, video courtesy of ABC News. Whatever we do, we give the courtesy credit back to the author of the work. And a lot of times that keeps us out of trouble.
Right, right.
Right, so as long as we do a video courtesy, we're gonna be okay.
Maybe aggravated, but that's how, at least you gave me.
At least you gave me my
At
credit.
least you recognize.
That's right. And the only time you really run into trouble with video courtesies or anything like that is when you really start making some money off of that stuff. And then whoever really owns it comes back to you and says, man, you're making a killing, dude. You could break up a little bit for me. Even with a courtesy, I feel like I need to be compensated. You know, but at that point, you're probably making enough money to have drawn a lot of attention. And it'd probably be the best thing to do, but a
Yeah,
courtesy will get you out of trouble.
You've done courtesy or the woman you done courtesy for.
Yeah.
Coming to you saying, hey, you know, you obviously are making some change.
Yeah.
It's only common courtesy.
There it is. Yeah, that's it, dude. Yeah,
But common courtesy to.
to break off
Break
something.
off something.
That's it. That's why we do copyright. That's why we have
It's
copyright.
Good karma.
Yes, it's good karma, man. Yeah, so courtesies will keep you out of trouble. I've used those a lot, almost all the time. Public domain materials, all right? So if you don't file, if you make a movie, this is a classic example, but it goes on anything really. If you don't have some way of noting that this belongs to you, right? So we didn't put a copyright on it. We didn't file for a copyright on our film. We didn't do the things we're supposed to do. And now it's been determined that because of that lack of effort, we are now dealing with our stuff being in the public domain is what they call it. Now anybody can use it because it's been determined to be public domain. And one of the classic examples of that is Night of the Living Dead, where the director didn't copyright his stuff. It fell into public domain and now anyone can use that. And when I
That is
found
one of
that
my
out,
favorite scary movies.
yeah, Zach, what was the director's name of the guy who did Night of the Living Dead way back when?
I can look it up.
And he's a famous dude, man. And this is a classic. This is a classic. It was an old timey movie. It was black and white.
Oh,
Yeah,
But it was-
1968.
There you go.
That would be George A. Romero.
Marrow, that's right. All right, classic copyright issue here where he failed to do the copyright. It fell into public domain. And now when you're watching a movie and you see something on TV, to avoid paying the rights for it, you'll see Night of the Living Dead a lot because they don't have to pay for the rights. So they might be just people, it might be a movie you're watching, or it could be a TV show or whatever. And a lot of people are in the living room acting like they're watching TV or whatever.
Wait.
And on the TV, they'll be watching Night of the Living Dead. It's
You're
because they don't
saying
have to pay.
that anybody nowadays can put a copyright stamp on Night of the Living Dead?
I don't know that they can copyright it themselves. It's public domain. So once it's determined to be public domain, it belongs to all of us.
Oh, I was like, man, that's how I can make some easy money.
Oh, yeah, no, once it's labeled public domain, but I did a TV channel one time when I think it was in like 2014. I went and leased the digital sub when digital subs were just coming out. There was a little place down in Missouri City, channel 15, and you could get it on the air if you had an antenna. It was on cable TV and whatnot. And then they did digital subs. So I leased out channel 15.6, and I was going to run sports and all kinds of stuff, but I needed 24 hours of programming. So I would literally edit a 24-hour programming grid and then export a 24-hour broadcast day. And I put a lot of movies in because the movies would eat up a lot of time. And then I could run commercial breaks, put in my commercials. That's how I was doing it. And I found a lot of public domain movies. That's how I found out about public domain. And one of them, The Night of the Living Dead. So I go to put that in my little domain, in my little playlist for my day. And I was getting ready to take it down to the station and run it for that day's broadcast. And something told me, I don't know what, something told me, man, you never really QC'd or quality controlled. I never did a QC check on Night of the Living Dead. I just put the whole movie in, chopped out some commercial breaks. I said, I never really watched it. And for some reason, I thought, man, I need to watch that movie. And I'm so glad I did, because what you don't realize is just because it's called public domain does not indicate if it's G, PG, R, X. I mean, it has, I just figured public domain, meaning I could broadcast it. I had no idea. I go back and watch that movie, and there's a lot of just butt-ass nudity in that movie. Just naked zombies and stuff walking through the graveyard. And had I not checked that, I would have literally run that on my TV station, and I bet I would have been in trouble. I don't know how many people were watching that early in the game, but we did have some audiences, and I'm so glad I watched it.
Found out.
I would have found out. That's right. People would have called and said, hey, man, what am I watching on channel 15.6? Yeah, that was something. And so I just casually edited out the nudity scenes.
You could have done just see what kind of audience you have.
Yeah, if people are watching. I thought about that. If you want to know if people are watching or not, run some nudity on a TV over the air and see if, and people will let you know. Yeah, you'll find out quickly.
Your
Oh my gosh.
audience anyway.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about using Romero's film just because it's public domain, make sure you know it's got nudity in it. So I had to learn that lesson the hard way. Okay, anyway, copyright guidelines for the web. I really like this. So 76 was the actual copyright itself that ran international, the Copyright Act of 1976, we still use to this day. And now the internet came along, and so they have this Digital Millennium Copyright Act of 1998, the DMCA, they call it. And we all run under that now on the digital side. Anything that is digital, that is internet posted or carried or consumed or disseminated, will run into this. And again, it's just the idea of protecting our rights as creative people to own and distribute our own content. If we make something, we own it. We decide if we want the people to see it or not. No one can take that right from us. No one can make money off of that but us. It's, again, all about incentive for the creatives. All right. So you'll see there everything the same. I love that the idea is you publish it, you own it. I mean, as far as the copyright. If you do own it and you publish it, the date of publication becomes your date of copyright. That's really important to know. All right, now you got your rights to your stuff, and all of a sudden you start to see your stuff showing up somewhere. Now we get into actionable items, right? So now we've got our copyright, we know we own it, and here's how you let people know, hey, I think you're in trouble, I need to let you know, and then I'm going to need to get paid. So if you look through there, you'll see where it says alerting others of protection, right? Oh, this is what I was wondering right here.
Is that break down how to do it the proper way?
You gotta let them know. You gotta let them know in writing, and in this world, it's a social media. You just hit them on the social and tell them, hey, man, I own that stuff. I'm looking at it right now. Give me a holler and let's figure out what can we do. Right? You can tell them to cease and desist. You can tell them just get in touch with me. We'll figure out something. You can tell them I want to get paid. You can tell them,
This, and you can get a hold of me.
yeah, that's what I would do. Cease and desist is just a written notification to stop doing what you're
See,
doing.
what's this? That means, okay, you've got footage that I filmed and it's mine and you put it in your Instagram or whatever and stuff. Now, I've got a hold of you and I said, stop showing it, cease and desist. Stop showing it and
don't
then
do it again.
don't do it again and get a hold of me. Then we can work something out. If we make a deal, you can keep playing it. If not, don't play it again.
Yes,
Cease
because
and
you own the
desist.
copyright.
Cease and desist, stop and quit doing it.
This,
Cease, yeah, spell it for her. Cease and desist, stop and quit.
oh,
That's what it
okay,
means.
so-
Stop and quit showing it.
Yep. I've gotten a lot of those letters back in the day when I did the news library. I think that was 1995. And we created the first ever public library for broadcast news. But the news people didn't like it. And so Ted Turner and Warner Media and CNN and every local station, they all sent me cease and desist letters. So I got real comfortable. I was taking all of their news broadcasts and making sure that the public had access to it after it was broadcast. Because the news media felt like it back in the day, this is before internet. Internet was coming. And I really wanted to make sure that even with the application of the internet, that if somebody put a story out about me or my family or my business or whatever on the local news at 5 o'clock,
You'll find it.
I wanted to have access to it tomorrow.
Mhm.
And they thought, no, you can't do that because they just weren't used to it. They didn't understand the technology, but more importantly, what they didn't want was they were just used to, if I air my news tonight at 5 o'clock, that shit disappeared by 5:30.
Right.
Good luck finding
it's
that.
news.
Yeah, right. Good luck if you want to sue me because I said something wrong. Good luck if you want to use it because
You can't, it's gone.
it's gone, baby.
It's
gone.
no longer anymore because once it's in the air, it's caught.
Bam, that's what they thought.
Yeah.
And then I said, man, it's no
No,
different
it's
than
not different.
newspapers. And I could go to New York, I could get a Houston Chronicle the next day. And I could look at what Houston Chronicle said yesterday and I could have access to it. I could cut it out, take a picture of it, whatever. I told them electronic media is exactly the same and y'all need to get used to it.
Right. That's what I was saying is back then is once they said done, it was gone. But now today, once you do it and once you send it and it's in the air, it's caught.
It's caught.
Somebody's got it.
That's right. And that's what I set up back then. 1996, went to the Library of Congress and spoke to them in front of a congressional hearing and explained to them what we were doing, why we were doing it, and why we needed to be there, because I knew that all things happening here at that particular congressional hearing would be written down, transcribed, and then made available on this idea of the internet that's coming forevermore. Even they kind of thought, like, what's he talking about?
He's smoking some good shit.
I know, dude. But if you look it up to this day, you're there. Yeah, I'm there, dude. You'll see it. I love that shit.
Oh,
All right, but anyway, alerting others of protection, you got to take care of that, right? But that's how you do it. This is where you put your copyright notice that I talked about. Write the name copyright, put the symbol on, put the year and the date on there. All right, now let's move to this idea of insurance and then I'll wrap everything up. We went a little long today, but
yeah, you long-winded.
I know. Sorry about that.
You had before you
I
got.
know, yeah.
One
I'm just real passionate about the legal side of what we do.
So you stop and they were gonna tell you the way, and then they're gonna discuss with you. Right?
That's right. A cease and desist letter or notification is someone telling you to stop or you telling someone to stop. You believe you have the rights to what's being messed with and you don't want them to do it anymore, or they're telling you the same. It just literally means stop.
And go
Stop
either way.
doing what you're
Someone
doing.
can tell you that,
You
and you can tell someone,
You need to write it
you gotta do it in writing.
officially.
Yeah, if you just Google cease and desist, you'll see it.
No, you don't have to do a certified letter. You just put it online. Say, hey, stop. And it's online. Now it's people, it's just public domain. Everybody can see the cease and desist. And
But
so
you're
you're
right, though.
giving
If you were to go legal, and
Go
you would
legal.
employ a legal person, they would do a certified letter. they send it to them and have a written receipt of someone received it. Yes, that's the legal
Yeah,
side of
yeah.
it.
Once you go legal, but for your first action would be put it online and say, hey, stop. And if they don't, then that's whenever you pursue the legal matters where you go into certified letters.
Insurance, what I noticed they were talking about here as we wrap up chapter 12 of this book and ultimately really the semester, they're talking about what kind of insurance you might need when you are a producer. You're out producing content, you're making films, you're making videos, you're doing whatever it is you do. And as a business, what might you consider for insurance? And some of these things are just no-brainers, right? So you've got comprehensive liability, you've got equipment loss or damage. That's the same as you might have for your car. No different, right? You got floaters, a floater is something you go with an insurance policy on, and it just kind of covers extra stuff you may not have thought about, things that, you know, this is where you need an insurance agent. I would never, for a business, go and get insurance off the internet without talking to somebody, right? There's still insurance agents out there that have offices and are in every neighborhood, and they're real people and they're there for that real reason. They will help you do your insurance, make it tailored explicit for what you need, and make sure you have the coverage that you need. And more importantly, you know, what's your budget? They'll try to help you fit a budget. You ain't got but so much money, but you need this kind of coverage. They'll help you figure out how you might do that. Raise the deductible, extend out your plan or whatever. They'll help you in that regard. Okay, so the one thing I wanted to talk about was E&O, because I had to learn that myself. All right, so when you talk about insurance, tell them you want the E&O. That's going to be your copyright stuff, right? That's a special type of coverage called errors and omissions. Errors and omissions is just E&O, and it'll protect you. This is what I like. It'll protect you in the oversight in the use of copyrighted material. So if you go out there and you have an infringement issue, somebody says you used their copyrighted material, you filmed my logo and put it into your production, you use my music in the background that I can hear, and when you were recording, you didn't even notice there was music in the background, and now the guy who wrote the song is suing you because in your short film, you used his music in the background, you happen to record it that day. E&O insurance will cover and settle that for you. To me, that's the most important insurance that you can have. It's not state mandated, right? We get into workers' comp, stuff like that. All that, by definition, you're legally required to have. So I'm not even really going into that. But the E&O stuff, if you don't ask for it, you'll never have it. You don't know, you don't know. But errors and omissions is one of the most important riders you can put on any insurance plan you've got for your production or your production company. Okay, that's what I wanted to wrap up on was E&O. Okay, so anybody got any questions? I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm sorry I went so long, but I just really dig the legal side of what we do. And as y'all are starting out, I want for y'all to have a basic understanding of some of the significance of it. Okay, you got any questions? Oscar, you okay? Zach, you okay?
I'm good.
Okay. All right, fellas. Hey,
I'm
man, I'll
good.
put this up next week. We don't have anything. Make sure you read through the assignments for today. It's just an attendance assignment, and then it is a sign your name assignment on this idea of chapter 12. And that's it, baby. Okay. And then I'll see y'all next week, and we're going to start wrapping everything up. Just make sure you're getting your assignments turned in. You basically got about 3 weeks to week 11 to be able to get everything in. And then we'll put into the summer after that. All right. And let me know if you need any.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye, y'all. Oh, wrong mouse. And did it again. Did it again.
I knew you was gonna do it.
I know it.